All right, let's talk about something that hits home for anyone with an investment: risk. We're going to go way beyond the simple numbers you always see and really dig into what they're not telling you. This is all about rethinking your financial future. Let's jump in. So, picture this. You see an ad for a fund, and it's posting an 8% average return. Sounds pretty great, right? Solid, dependable. But what if that one little number is actually hiding almost everything you really need to know? I mean, it tells you the average, sure, but it says absolutely nothing about the journey to get there. And believe me, that journey can be one wild ride. And that's the big idea here. We've got to make a mental shift. We need to stop clinging to that one single number from the past and start embracing the full story, the whole range of what could possibly happen. It's about trading that illusion of certainty for a real, solid understanding of uncertainty itself. Okay, so that brings us to our first big topic: moving beyond just the average return. And the key to doing that is this concept called a return distribution. Now, I know it sounds a little technical, but trust me, it's not. Just think of it like a map of all the possible outcomes for your investment: the good, the bad, and even the really unlikely stuff. It's not just about where you might end up, it's the whole landscape of possibilities. So this map, it gives us 4 crucial clues. We've got the average, which you already know, but then there's dispersion. In simple terms, how wild is the ride? Is it a gentle cruise or a total roller coaster? Then you've got asymmetry. Are the surprises more likely to be awesome or awful? Does it tend to give you small wins and then one massive sudden loss? And finally, maybe the most important one, tail behavior. This tells you the real risk of a catastrophic black swan kind of event. All 4 of these together, they paint a so much richer picture of risk. All right, so that's how we can look at a single investment, but what about your whole portfolio? Well, this brings us to that old chestnut we all rely on: diversification. And as we're about to see, it's got some pretty serious limits. When most people talk about diversification, the word that always comes up is correlation. It's just a simple metric that tells us, on average, if 2 things tend to zig while the other zags. And we're all taught that low correlation is like the holy grail of building a portfolio. But that word, average, is doing a lot of heavy lifting. See, there's a much deeper idea here, and it's called dependence. And this is not about averages. This is about how your investments act when the chips are down, when there's a real market crash. It's about their true relationship when they're under serious stress. And this quote from the source material just nails it. Correlation understates joint downside exposure. What does that really mean? It means if you're only looking at that simple average, you are completely blind to the very real risk that in a crisis, everything can go down together. Those assets you thought were diversified, they can suddenly start moving in lockstep right when you need them to do the opposite. I love this analogy. It's the fair weather friends problem. When the sun is shining and things are good, your assets all look nice and independent. But as soon as a real storm hits, I'm talking a big economic event, they all run for the exact same door. And just like that, poof, your diversification vanishes, right at the moment you need it the most. So if those single numbers are misleading and simple diversification can totally fail us, what's the answer? Well, it's about learning to see the whole picture. Here's the thing. The solution isn't to get better at guessing the one future that's going to happen. I mean, that's impossible, right? The really smart move is to stop trying to predict and start preparing by mapping out many possible futures. And this is what that actually looks like. It's a scenario probability table. So instead of just one number, you start assigning probabilities to different versions of the future. What's the chance of strong economic growth? And what would that do to my money? Okay, what about a mild recession? And here's the kicker. What about that 5% chance of a severe crisis? All of a sudden, that scary negative 35% outcome isn't just some vague fear anymore. It's a specific possibility that you can actually plan for. And this really brings us to the final and, honestly, the most important shift in mindset. It's all about moving from a game of prediction to a discipline of preparation. Think about it. The old way of thinking was to ask, what will happen? And then search for that one right answer, as if it existed. The new, much more powerful goal is to ask what could happen. And that simple change lets us make decisions that are robust, decisions that can survive a bunch of different futures, not just the one sunny scenario we were hoping for. So how do you actually do this? Well, here's a framework. First, you compare the probability-weighted outcomes of your different options. Second, you assess the variability, the dispersion, and decide, honestly, how much of a roller coaster you can actually stomach. Third, and this is so important, you really understand your true downside risk by looking at those tail probabilities. And finally, you link all of this back to what it means in the real world for your goals, whether that's retiring comfortably or buying a house. And really, that's the core takeaway of this entire explainer. Probability isn't some crystal ball for telling the future. No way. It's a decision support tool. It's a framework to help you make smarter, more resilient choices in a world that is fundamentally unpredictable. It's there to support your judgment, not replace it. So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. Take a hard look at your own investment decisions. Are they built on the simple averages of the past? Or are they truly preparing you for the wide range of futures that could actually happen? Thanks for tuning in.